Hello, everyone, and welcome to Co-Creation Station, the podcast where we talk about spiritual magic, the law of attraction, the mind-body-spirit connection, and how to best enjoy this mystical, miraculous, mysterious, crazy, sometimes confounding, but always incredible journey we call life. My name is Collin. I'm a musician, teacher, and tarot oracle card reader.
My name is Stephanie, and I help people shift away from negative thinking.
And we want to thank you so much for listening to our podcast. If you're listening to the audio version on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. If you are watching us on our YouTube channel, thank you so much for watching us there. If you feel called to like us, review us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to the podcast, we would love it if you did that. It helps us a lot, and we'd be very grateful to you. Here on Co-Creation Station, we start our conversation from a different starting point each week. And this week, Stephanie, I'm going to turn it over to you to kick off discussion here.
Yeah, we've invited Evan to be our guest today because, as you know, if you've listened to us, watched us for a bit, we talk a lot about the art of allowing here on Co-Creation Station. And Evan has a great art of allowing story. And so Collin and I both have known Evan for several years now. Great guy, and welcome Evan. So glad you're here with us today. Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to see you guys. Glad to be asked. Thank you.
So tell us, let's go back to the beginning. Prior to our conversation, you were going to an event.
Okay. So that's not really the beginning, is it?
Oh, is it? Okay.
No.
No, tell us. Well, then you
talk about how I was raised to be a coal miner's daughter.
We're going to stick to the art of allowing, so to your specific
all right, so we're going to fast forward
moment in time in your life.
Past childhood and college. Okay. So I was living in San Diego, okay, which I lived in San Diego for a long time. And I was, there's a bass store, okay, where they sell bass guitars in San Diego that I loved to go to, where they sold really, really expensive, nice equipment. And so I would go there to buy usually like little things for myself, cables and stuff like that, and ooh and ah, like the beautiful instruments that they had laid out there. And I at that time I had been a musician sort of like years ago, like actively with a band, and we had a little record deal and stuff like that. But it had been years and years and years, it had been maybe 14 years since I had been in a band or anything like that. And I would just noodle around at home. But in any case, one time I went into this store, Bass San Diego, and I saw this bass displayed, this beautiful orange colored bass, which I learned later was pumpkin orange, and it was there on a stand with raffle tickets circling it.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, so it's like it's all there circled by raffle tickets. And when I saw this, I was like, what the heck is this? Because it would be really strange to be raffling off some kind of high-end piece of equipment like this. And so anyway, I said, hey, can we get these tickets off of it, and can I play this thing a little bit? And they're like, sure. So anyway, I played it for a little bit, and I was like, oh my God, this thing is just like butter. It is just like the most amazing freaking bass. So beautiful. And then I started asking questions about like, well, what's the deal with this? Is this really going to be like raffled off? They're like, yep, there's going to be an event coming up, in a couple months where we're going to have this event, and tickets will be sold, and you can enter a chance to win. I was like, all right, great. Well, the thing was is that, I was like, can I just buy a ticket now? And they're like, no, you have to be at the event in order to participate in the raffle. Okay, so I put the event on my calendar, but what ended up happening was that I was very busy with like doing different stuff, acting, comedy, improv, different things, classes. And as it turned out, there was a conflict between being able to go to that event and some of my classes, as it turned out. And really, for where I was at in my life, there was no way that I was going to cancel class to go to this event, for a chance to win, for the slight chance to win a bass guitar. Like, I really, for me, I was committed to going to my classes. And as it turned out, like a couple days before the bass event, the event at Bass San Diego, the teacher reached out to our group and said, up, class is canceled on Saturday. And I was just like, yes, I'm gonna go to this event. And my mind was swimming with that bass in my head. I was like, all right, I'm gonna, what I need to do? I need to just like muscle my way into ownership of that bass guitar. I'm gonna buy like 50 tickets and just hope that that's like enough to do it. I was prepared to spend like hundreds of dollars, like it was like $10 a ticket. So like buy like maybe like 50 tickets and take a chance, even though I had like nowhere near that kind of money at all. And so before pulling the trigger on that, I did slow down a little bit, and I was like, you know what? Why don't I talk to my friend Stephanie about this? Because Stephanie, in my mind, there was a couple things about Stephanie that made me want to consult with her, which was one, well, she had a little bit of a history of like winning like crazy contests on the radio, and I wanted to get a little bit of perspective from her. But really, more importantly, Stephanie was somebody that I looked up to for lessons in abundance and sort of what I would call spiritual practices. And so really that is why I went to Stephanie and asked her, hey, what do you think? This bass is freaking amazing. I really want this thing. And I told her my plan about, buying all the, tons of tickets. And she's just like, I don't remember exactly, but I think it was something along the lines of like, I don't think that's such a great idea. One thing that I've been trying to do for a long time is to create budgets and live within my means. And so the first thing was like, well, is this really in your budget to be able to, even though it's actually proceeds go to charity, is it really in your budget to spend all this money on buying tickets? I was just like, absolutely not at all. And so Stephanie recommended staying within my spending plan, okay, and to not be obsessed about winning this thing, about putting it out to the universe that yes, I'd love to win this thing. To spend what I can, what's legitimately within my resources to spend, okay? And then put it out there into the universe that I'd love to own this beautiful bass guitar, but the other instruction was really, let go of the outcome. Go to that event and go have fun and really look for opportunities to have fun, to interact with people, to put positive, fun energy into the event, into life. Sort of that idea of not looking to see what I can take from a situation, but see what I can contribute to a situation. So I went to that event and I bought a ticket. And the event was like hours and hours, but it felt like hours and hours a little bit, because I was like, I really want this thing. Still it was hard to let go, but what was occupying my time there was that there was like these famous musicians at this event. Two big names in bass guitar. One is named Jerry Jamaat, who was a prolific studio player, played with people like King Curtis and Aretha Franklin for years and years, and many others. And another guy named Chuck Rainey, who was like my hero growing up. He was he was on just like a score of Steely Dan albums. And he was, if you know 70s TV show themes, he's the guy. He was the guy playing like, like Moving On Up by the Jeffersons, stuff like that. And this awesome bass player. And so I was getting to like hang out with these guys during this event.
Wow.
So it ended up being very high energy fun for me, of being around these people who were like my heroes. But nonetheless, it was still like lurking in the back of my mind about this bass, of course. And they were giving away sort of all these different things, okay? And people are getting such and such person, you have won blah blah blah, right? And and the bass was the grand prize, the last thing of the evening. And just before, right before, maybe about 2 hours into this event, I was like, all right, I'm going to buy one more ticket. So I bought like a second ticket. And but the end of the story is or not exactly the end of the story, but what ended up happening is that they called my name, and it wasn't the second ticket; it was that first ticket.
Oh yeah!
It was that first ticket that won the prize. I was completely blown away and shocked. I mean, that I won this unbelievable instrument, and it was handed to me by Chuck Rainey, who is like my hero.
Oh, I got
like
chills.
Here you go,
up my legs.
Evan. I mean, it was just unbelievable, and it's just so thrilling. And I mean, and really, this is years ago at this point, and it's still absolutely thrilling to me, that whole experience. And what ended up happening was, I feel like there was purpose behind me winning that instrument. Whether that's true or not, it was just
it's beautiful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you call
beautiful.
It pumpkin orange?
Pumpkin orange.
Ooh.
I feel like there was a purpose in me winning that instrument. When I had been in that band that I was talking about from many years before, I left not on good terms. They released an album that I played on without my name attached to it. And there was a lot of resentments going on. And I really sort of had this dream of being able to record music
Beautiful.
and be like on an album
Mhm.
and like have my name attached to it and have like some kind of professional project where I got to, where I got to be a part of it. And so really that's where it led. Shortly after winning that bass, somebody, a new friend asked me to join his band, and it was a very professional band. It was, he came from a band called Grace Potter and the Nocturnals, and he formed a band and asked me to be the bass player. And we
you can say who that was and what the name of the band was if you want.
Yeah, so the leader of the band is Scott Tournay, and the band became Electric Voodoo, is what it is called. I don't play in the band any longer, but I helped to get that band off the ground and started touring around with them and recording with them. And
That's awesome.
so I got to record this album with me playing bass on it, and there's my name on the vinyl, What did you say?
On your one bass, WON.
Yep. So just so awesome that I feel very lucky that I got to, record music and, be attached to the project. When the band started touring more than just doing local stuff, I sort of lost interest. I didn't want to go touring with the band. Yeah. I wasn't interested in that.
Evan, thank you so much for sharing that. And there's a few things here. I remember specifically saying to you, you're only going to win with one ticket. So buy one ticket. I think it's precious that you knew, like, with the first ticket, that was the one I won. Like, you knew the difference between the two tickets. Like, that was just verification. Like, yeah, I just need to buy one, right?
Right. You did say that.
And then you really practiced the art of allowing, because you went and you had a good time. Like, yeah, in the back of your head, you were like, am I going to win? I really want that. When are we going to do it? But at the same time, more of your energy, your higher energy, was in the presence of these people. Like, how amazing is that your childhood hero handed you this bass that you really, like, could you ever have imagined that story? Like, a lot of us think that we're really great story writers or what have you, but I really always like to say that God, spirit, the universe, whatever you choose to call this greater power that created all, is the best story writer ever. And that then you, Collin, and all the rest of us are the storytellers. I'm not the story. In a sense, I guess we are, because you put that bass in your vortex. You put interacting with your childhood heroes in your vortex. And then the universe, in its unlimited resources and imagination, put together this culmination of all these different events. Your teacher saying, we're going to cancel the class, you going into this store and seeing, all these things. Like, never in my wildest dreams can I ever imagine half the stuff that happens to me or others. So
well put. I totally agree. Just that combination of events, and boy, being around the childhood heroes, holy cow.
Yeah, that's just priceless.
So just surreal.
There's a bunch of things in that story. Thank you so much for sharing it, Evan. I hadn't heard the story at all, so I was like riveted to the whole thing. I think it's amazing. I think it's really great that we're sharing that with other people. A few things jumped out at me, because I think a lot of people would have been where you were at when you were thinking, before your talk with Stephanie, I'm going to buy 50 tickets. This might be a whatever $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 base, but I'm gonna buy 50 tickets. I'm gonna spend $500, and I'm gonna increase my odds. And that sounds logical to us, like it's like, well, it's a statistical chance, and therefore, if I buy more tickets. But I think the thing that I try to impress upon people is, if you're leaving something completely, first of all, it's really difficult to leave something like that up to chance, because if we're participating in it with our energy and our vibration, our energy and our vibration is going to affect the outcome. Doesn't mean it's going to determine the outcome, but it's going to be in the mix. So it's very difficult to like let anything in life that you're involved in just be a statistical chance, because if you have any energy or vibration around it, it's going to affect the outcome. So it's not a pure statistical thing anymore. But the other thing is that it's very possible, and I used to do this a lot, I think, before I learned about the law of attraction and the art of allowing, and certainly before I was a client of Stephanie's coaching, which is that I could do something that in the practical, you know, things we can touch and feel world would look like it was increasing my chances. But if I did that thing with the energy of, I'm afraid, because if I had done that, like if I'd been in this story and I'd spent $500 on tickets, I can promise you, I don't know about you, but my dominant vibration, thought, feeling from that point would be like, oh my God, what if I spent this $500 and I don't win it? What if I don't win it? What if I don't win it? And the universe is going to pick up on that and go, oh,
you have to win it.
Yeah. You're in this very intense fear that you seem to like, Collin, of like not that you will have screwed yourself financially, and that, you know, you're not going to win this thing. It seems like you keep putting out that vibration. I guess that's what we'll give you, you know? And it's like, I would have the fear that my primary thing that I would just be thinking out of fear is like, they don't call my name. They don't call my name. What if they don't call my name? You know, and then that, most times that is what you're going to manifest. Like that is what I would have created if I had done that.
And that's happened to all of us with something. Yeah. I can totally relate to that in a lot of situations.
Completely.
I mean, I've said this on multiple episodes, but when I first moved to Los Angeles, I've been driving my whole life, but I was really unprepared for like what seemed to be like the dangers of driving in LA. There's just a lot of times where people feel like they've got to cut in front of somebody, or they've got to beat a light, and it can be scary. And I didn't check in with anybody. And I was thinking every day as I drove to work and from work, I had a pretty long drive in both ways. And I'd just be like, oh my God, you know, this is so crazy. One of these days I'm gonna get a horrible accident. And I was thinking that for a year. And at the end of the year, I was driving to work one morning and I got T-boned, and my car was just, I was fine, but my car was destroyed. And when I looked at the destroyed car, I was like, I've seen that picture before. That's the picture I had in my head. Oh, wow. And I was telling the universe, I'm really jazzed about this picture. I'm really jazzed about this picture. I'm really jazzed about this picture. And the universe one day said, okay, here's the picture, live, 3D.
And just so everyone knows, the universe doesn't really differentiate between that. It's not connected or anything. It's just matching our vibration. And that's what Collin's vibration was, is like,
yeah, it's not a value judgment.
Yeah, I'm going to get an accident.
It's like, I was putting out, oh my God,
yeah,
terrible accident. And the universe is like, oh, okay, terrible accident. Here you go.
Yeah. You know what was an interesting thing about my story as well too, is that I had no intention, though, of, hey, I'm going to win this bass and I'm going to record an album and play percussion for a while. Like somehow the universe conspired to make that happen, and it knew that deep down there was this thing in me that wanted that, and I wasn't even so aware of that myself, but the vibration of it being in me as a desire was somehow picked up.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Evan, for saying that, because the universe, God, spirit knows every request, whether thought or spoken, remembers it all, even to the point where I don't even remember half the stuff I've put in my vortex that I've asked for, and then remembers everything, and then is able to look at all those things that you wanted. I share this with Collin all the time. That blows my mind too, how the universe can put all these different, like 5 or 10 different things, whether it be a feeling, a moment, a person, an object, an experience, into this one moment of time. And I'm just like blown away. Oh my God, I wanted that. Oh my God. Just like you said, this experience, there were so many things that you, and half of them you didn't even remember that you had put in there. But yet that's the beautiful thing about the game of life. The way it's set up is so wonderful. And that's why Collin and I are here, is to remind people, tell them, teach them how to play the game of life and win, which is really with the art of allowing. That's what it's all like. That's our part. And then you did that. That's a perfect example. You went, you had a great time. You were so happy and thankful that enjoying these people and this, and the excitement of possibly winning. And, you know, and I really want people to remember, and myself too, I'm always blown away. It's not that we don't have negative emotion or negative thoughts. They're there. But that when we creep over that 51% with more positive emotion, that's the scale. Like then that's when the magic can happen. And then we're in the mode of allowing something big or small and anything in between to happen.
I think another important part of that story that occurred to me, jumped out at me, is something you did not do early on in the events, which is, because I've done what I'm about to talk about and I've had a negative result come from it, which is, you ask the questions about like, well, can I buy the tickets now? And they're like, nope. You know, the whole point of this is to get people to the event. So you got to come to the event on the day. That's the only day that like you're going to only be able to buy the ticket and win in the same day. You can't be here. That's it. And like what I might have done at that point, knowing that I was committed to my class, as you said, I might have gone an extra step though and gotten into like some depression and some sort of, like negative, really kind of deep trough negative feeling, while I told myself, well, this is how it always goes for me. This is how it always works out. Something awesome is happening and I can't go because of a prior commitment. I guess this means I just can't win the base. And you didn't do that. Like you didn't do that. Like I was listening really carefully during your telling of that part of the story. And like, I loved how you talked about it, because it was like, you didn't tell the universe, hey, I never have any luck and I have class that day. So don't give me the base. What you said was, there's two really wonderful things in my life that I would love to go to. I would love to go to this event, just to go to the event, but also to have a chance at winning this bass guitar. But you know what? I'm also really enjoying, and I feel good about the class that I'm taking right now. And I want to stay committed to that. And I want to honor my decision and my choice to go to that class too. So it is a little bit unfortunate maybe that I have these two awesome things to go to, but it's not like I'm saying like, oh, my life sucks because I can't go to the thing I want to go to. Like the way you talked about it, it's like, I have two things I really want to go to. It is a challenging decision, but I'm going to choose to go to my class, and I'm just going to trust that my life is going to work out okay. With or without that.
That's really exactly correct. It would have been a failure of integrity for me to have not gone to my class. And so that
you would have been in a negative, like if you skipped the class and gone to the event, like
all that negative stuff would have been there with me, that I had failed to really honor sort of my commitments and honor myself. And and just like you were saying with like overbuying tickets, I never even really thought about that myself. That would have completely spurred negative energy of I have to win now because of this investment.
And that gets in that whole self-will and self-reliance thing of not trusting, or deprivation thinking, all of that kind of stuff. I got to make it happen. It's all up to me.
Manipulating.
This or nothing. Yeah. All those things that we can do as humans.
I think that's the most challenging part for me, but it's so funny that it is, because it's so obvious, like it's so obvious that I don't, if I want it to be a sunny day, I don't have a lever in my bedroom that says sunny. But like, I will get into sort of things of like, it can't be, oh my God, you just can't range it. It just can't, so I mean, it's silly because we know there's something bigger than us in charge. We know there's something bigger than us influencing timing and how things show up and when things show up and who gets what and all that. And yet, I think a lot of us grow up with this idea of like, no, it's our job to like think what ought to be and then make sure it's all happening that way, and get really frustrated when it's not happening the way we wanted it to be. And I think what I've learned from Stephanie and from other people, Abraham and Wayne Dyer and all these people, is, my role is really minimal when I think about it. It's really minimal.
Really
it's basically sort of like tell the universe what I want and then just have a good day and enjoy my life and don't worry about it. That is when stuff that I really want shows up. And it seems paradoxical. It's like the message our society, I think another reason we're doing this podcast is like the message society gives you a lot is like, it's all on you. If you want that job at Google, you have to work hard. You have to go, knock on the doors of the people at Google. You have to tell them that you have to work. There's a lot of that in our society. And it's like what they miss there. It's not that can't work, but it means that it's going to go off your vibration, not off your action. So if you do all this like stuff, but you are feeling great about it and you're convinced you'll get the job at Google, and you trust the universe, then yes, you can do all these things and it'll still work. But like, that's actually putting way more, you don't have to work that hard. You can just get quiet and say, okay, what is the universe really saying that is my part in doing this? And usually my intuition will tell me like, no, don't go knock on a door. If you go knock on a door, you're going to be like, oh my God, what if I don't get this? So you just like, send an email to your friend who used to work at Google and go to the beach and have a good day. Look at the ocean, see what an amazing universe and world you live in, see what incredible miracles are there. Watch little kids playing and having fun, watch dogs chasing tennis balls. And that is a better way for most people to get something they want than to like, make a list and like do really hard thing number one and put your, and like come at it, because so many of us not knowing will go at that method with the belief that it's not going to show up anyway. So we do all this hard work and then the manifestation is like, oh, see, I did all this work and it didn't work out.
So you guys have spurred a memory for me of an experience I had in talking about, oh, well, I missed my chance kind of a thing, or it's got to happen now, or it won't happen at all, or I messed up. So years ago, I wanted a gemstone ring and I had an idea of what it would look like. And so I went to the jewelry exchange building downtown and was looking at a bunch of different rings, found one I really liked. And then I had one of the art gemstone people look at it and he goes, oh, well, I liked it was multicolored. And he goes, well, that's not a real stone. He's like, there's layers of something on it and eventually it'll peel away. And I was really disappointed because I was excited about getting this gemstone ring. And then the one I wanted wasn't even real at all. And so I just remember getting really depressed because here I was excited about having a gemstone ring and buying myself one. And then the one I wanted wasn't even the real deal. So I remember just being really down and depressed for like several weeks. And I think a couple of months have gone by. I kind of forgot about it. And I was hanging out with a friend and we were with this woman and we were near a thrift store. And I said, hey, why don't we go into this thrift store? I want to just kind of look around. And so we're looking around and I'm at a glass case and I see a ring. And I go, oh, I tell the woman behind the counter, I go, can I see that ring? And she goes, yeah, it's an amethyst ring. And I put it on my finger. And my friend says to me, that's real. She's like, my dad was, because I had asked her, how much do you want for it? And she goes, $1. And I go, and my friend's like, I put it on. I go, isn't it pretty? And she goes, that's a real ring. That's a real amethyst. And that's gold. She's like, my dad was a jeweler. And I said, for $1. And the lady goes, yeah. So and it was the stone was dirty, so it looked kind of like foggy or whatever. And it was cool because the band it looked very old, like, kind of the designs were really intricate. And it was a square stone. So I took it home and washed it up. It was beautiful. I got it for $1. I was going to spend like $150 2 or 3 months prior for one. So what I'm saying is I was blown away. And I think what I want people to understand too is like, if something doesn't happen when we want it to in the way that we think it should, or we feel like we missed our chance. I love what Abraham says, there's another boat. Like we say, oh, I missed the boat. No, that Abraham said, there's another boat and another boat and another boat. So the universe has infinite possibilities of how it can deliver what we want in full manifestation. So that experience is like, I think about it, you guys reminded me of that, of all the talking we're doing now. And that was a beautiful example of my experience of like, being depressed. Like, I don't get depressed that often, but I was really disappointed because I was excited about getting this ring and then finding out it's not what I wanted. And I was like, I can't have what I want. Oh. And then lo and behold, I was just going in there to look for whatever. And
there's a couple of stories from my music life. I'll try to tell them really quick. One is one I read about, one is one I actually met the person. And then compare and contrast really interestingly. One is somebody I knew, I'll keep their identity a secret, but they were an incredible musician, like an incredible rock musician. And many years ago, they were in a major city in America, and they were in a band, and they were packing the clubs in whatever the city that they were in. And they found out that the A&R person, which is like, those are the people, less common today, but back in the day of rock albums and vinyl and all that, those are the people that would sign bands onto the label, that would look for new bands to sign, and they would make the record deal with the person. So the A&R person for a world famous band at that point, they had found out that that person was going to come see the show that night. And they were all excited and everything. And then the show ended up not going that great. Like they had a few technical difficulties, something with the sound system, something like that. And the A&R person came, but they never heard anything from that again. And really, as the person I was talking to told it, it's like everyone in the band felt like their career was over at that point. Like they had gotten one shot for the big time, you know, and this thing that was kind of random. They didn't invite this person, that was just like word of mouth or whatever. And they got the thing that they thought was what they needed to get a record deal. And then the show didn't go the way they wanted. There's no telling whether, if they played the show the way they really wanted to, whether the A&R person would have been affected by that anyway. But, you know, in their minds, they connected the poor performance or the technical problems to never hearing from the A&R person. And most of the people in that band, like literally either quit music after that, or, you know, formed a belief after that that they held for many years, that they couldn't be successful. And sad to say, they lived that out. I mean, they didn't, you know, none of them made money at music. The counter example is the band Van Halen. I read an unauthorized biography of Van Halen a few years ago, and they were a cover band in Los Angeles for many years. And they just, the Van Halen brothers were incredible musicians. David Lee Roth, the original lead singer, was an incredible performer. And so they learned like hundreds and hundreds of covers, and they became a very popular cover band. They would play backyard shows everywhere, all over LA. They became regulars at this bar on the Sunset Strip that actually like was mainly played cover bands, and you know, worked their way up. One night they opened for the band Kiss in the late 70s at, I think it was the Whiskey A Go-Go. And Kiss at that point was like the most famous rock band in the world. Like they were the top of the top. And Gene Simmons, the leader of that band, was so impressed with their opening act that he paid in full for them to do a full demo, which is actually on YouTube now. It's weird, the time we live in, but you can actually look this up and listen to it. But he paid for a full demo, meaning, which in those days was very, very expensive. It's still not cheap, but you know, he rented a studio for weeks, paid for the whole thing himself, you know, had his people, his producer, all these people come in. I mean, as you can listen to it on YouTube, it's a pretty good demo, but it's almost like a full album. Usually a demo's only a few songs. I think there's like 7 or 8 on this thing. Gene Simmons personally, when he finished it, you know, oversaw the mixing, oversaw the mastering, took the master to every major record label in town personally, made up with the A&R at that label and played the demo for them. And I mean, so this is if you're in a rock band in 1977 or whatever, like this is your ultimate, like this is like, we're going to be signed. Like the leader of the largest rock band on earth, you know, is, you know, made a demo for it, made the best demo ever, and is personally going to the record. Like, how you can't increase your odds anymore. Every single major album, major recording company passed cold, no interest whatsoever, none. And Gene Simmons was devastated emotionally, and because he just felt like, I know they're good, I saw them play, I know the demo's good, like they just don't get it or whatever. So he went back to Eddie and David and all these people and said, I am so sorry, guys. I was like, I'll give you full rights. You own this master. Do whatever you want with it. I don't care. He's like, I went to every label in town and nobody wants to do it. I'm so sorry. I can't. I've done everything I can do. And they didn't stop. they just kept going. They just kept going. And then they got signed later. And I just feel like when I remember that story, it's like, that story would have destroyed almost every up and coming band I've ever met, including all the ones I've probably been in. You know what I mean? Like, to have something that would look on the surface, like statistically, like we will be on the cover of Rolling Stone this year. You know, how could we not be? Because that happened and nobody liked it, we might as well go do something else for the rest of our lives, because what are we going to do? The fact that they were just like, well, we just love this, and you know, if we end up just playing covers for the rest of our lives in people's backyards, that's fine, because we just love it so much. That the universe brought their, you know, fame and fortune in a different way in a different time, you know. And that's the thing, it's like, you can't, it's really easy to want to tell the universe this way, you know, yeah. Or now that this has happened, I better get whatever. But what we don't understand is like,
we can't relate to that, can we?
No, not at all.
That's it. The love was there. And you know, in my life, when the love is there, and so the next right indicated steps come from that. Okay, so I mean, without some kind of very specific plan in place, maybe I've got a plan, but whatever if the love is behind what I'm doing, the next right indicated step is going to just be there. Okay, in terms of, you know, what we were talking about before, in terms of, oh, you've got to make this list and work. But no, it's really the next right indicated step out of that love will be there, and then we'll see.
Well, and then the next indicated step, and then the next indicated step, right?
Absolutely. That there's always actions that we have to take, but I think when they're motivated by love of something rather than I must have this, you know, I think there's maybe going to be a difference.
And I love when I heard Wayne Dyer speak of this, it's like inspired is in spirit. And I love when I'm inspired to do something, because there's no like having to force or make it or motivation. Inspired is like, I'm infused with the power and the energy and the willingness and desire to do it. And it just happens. It's not hard at all.
I had an acting audition recently, and, you know, got some help with doing it, self-tape out of home. And, you know, people are asking, hey, you know, what happened? You know, anything happened? And I was like, yeah, something happened. I got to apply my craft to do an audition. I got asked to do an audition, and I did it.
Right on.
You know, and that is the success right into itself.
Yeah.
You know, having to get, you know, winning that job, boy, yeah, that'd be great. But not necessarily. I got to do my craft when I was asked to audition. That was the success.
Yeah. And what a switch of thinking, right, Evan?
Absolutely.
That's that softening that resistance and being more appreciative and in the moment, kind of like, yeah, it's cool.
Yep.
I want to say for our audience also, you are an incredible actor, especially an incredible actor. There's
your stand-up, when you said comedy, I was like, oh man, I remember you closed for that comedy class that night, the one that you were in, and oh wow, you were amazing.
It's on tape and I can hear you laughing.
Oh, you'd have to send it to me. I would love to relive that. We were all in awe.
Yeah, you got it.
There's a commercial, a 30-second commercial you did, which I'd like to put the link for that in the description here. I forget what company it was for, but it was
Credit Karma, where I played Cyclops.
Yes, a bunch of monsters like sitting around talking about. Yeah, and you're brilliant in it. Like when I saw it, I was like, wow, that's like, it's just the perfect performance. And also, you are one of the most, and you're one of the most incredible bass players I've ever seen. And I lived in New York City, went to clubs every night, and like saw some of the best bass players in the world, and you're among them. And I know you're not affiliated with the band anymore, but the Electric Voodoo record is incredible. I'll put the links to that for people in the description as well, because even though you're not affiliated with them, your bass work is on there in full display, and it is some of the best bass work I've ever heard. So
thanks, Collin.
seeing you. Was it the Belly Up? We saw you. You performed
Yeah,
at the Belly Up.
Belly
yeah.
Up.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That's very kind of you guys. Thanks for that.
Well, we
I'm still
appreciate you.
I'm still playing. I don't know what, who knows where the next gig is going to be, but I am definitely playing. I'm actually playing a different bass now though. The bass that I won, it ended up eventually being not the right bass for me. It was too heavy, a little too big. So I've actually gone with a smaller sized instrument that is better suited towards my hands. So I've got a new bass and I'm playing.
And it was yours for a moment in time, right? Something you'll never forget.
Oh man.
And then it was on to someone else, right? Someone else is probably enjoying it and appreciating it as much as you and serving them as well as it did you.
I would have to say absolutely on that. Like it served its purpose, and then I guess it was time for somebody else to enjoy it. I mean, I love that bass, and I do miss it from time to time, but it, my body and my hands were not. It was time to let it go.
Yeah, sometimes things are not a perfect fit, and then they move on.
Yep. I'm sure somebody is loving that instrument.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much, Evan, for being here today. Stephanie and I are so grateful that you're able to join us. I love that story. Thank you for sharing it with not just with us, but with so many people. And we hope everybody out there enjoyed the podcast today. If you feel called to like or subscribe to us, please do. It helps us a lot. Stephanie, if someone would like to find you on the interwebs,
of course, it's in the link, and then www.powerinjoy.com.
And my links are changing all the time now, so you should just follow whatever's in the description. If you want to follow my band, we're Red Treasure, and we're on Spotify and iTunes and everywhere else. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Evan. And we will see or hear you all next week on Co-Creation Station.
Thank you, guys. It was great seeing you, and thanks for asking me.
Thank you, Evan. It's good to see you, my friend.
Same here.